I'm just going for it. That's how I do it here. I just go for it. How does that make you feel? Welcome to Nick Flanagan Weekly. Flanagan Weekly. We're back. And it's the show you waited for. Well, you know me and I know you. Personally, we both can track each other's movements if we're good enough at hacking, and because of my audience, I know who you are, and I know that you're good at hacking. I just sprayed a dust destroyer on my mic condom. What do you call these? Got a little bit of support. I'd like to thank everybody who said, so glad you put out a new podcast. I appreciate that very much. Thanks for listening if you listened. If you were wondering how my foot is doing, my arthritic recovering foot. Well, last week I had dinner at a Chinese restaurant with my sister and my mother and my partner, my little lady friend. And it was a place called Peaceful, just opened up on Bloor Street in Toronto. I think they also have locations in Hong Kong and Vancouver. And it was really nice northern Chinese food. You could go. I was pretty flustered at first. We all arrived at different times. I was the first to arrive. It felt like I kind of felt like I couldn't get my order in at the table. So I was kind of stressed out. Then the food came in, it was good. What's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is the food arrives and you eat it, no matter what it is, unless it's a double S. Shit sandwich. Did you hear me? Shit sandwich. So, my foot has been a topic of conversation amongst my family. They love to ask, my mom loves to ask, if you have an ailment. The people who care about you, many will say nothing. Some will ask a lot about it. Depending on your personality type, you will appreciate that they don't ask, or you will appreciate that they do ask. I appreciate both. Probably the meditation that got me there, being able to appreciate both of those things. But I told my mom, oh, my foot's great. It's doing a lot better. And then I walked all the way from up there to where I live, the restaurant, down to where I live, maybe an hour. In this sweet September. And I'll get to September in a second, because that's the month we're in. And I want to get to it. I need to get to it. See you in September. It came true this year. And it's come true every September so far for me. And I hope I get to see many more Septembers. And you do too. Anyway. I go for this long walk. And the damn foot, I overwalked it. Next few days it's shot. And I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying. Look, I don't see my doctor that much. I have nobody here to tell me this is a boring topic of conversation, so I'll keep going. But, so I have this various things that sort of make my foot hurt a fair amount at various times. And in between that, I'm like tired. And I just wonder, is it my foot being like, you need to rest, man. We need to heal this. Or do I have a whole other problem? Or why not both? Right? Ice cream and French fries. Why not both? I've never gotten out of that childish, this is the best meal you could have kind of thinking. If you have a hamburger, why don't you also have French fries? And if you have a hamburger on French fries, and French fries, why don't you also have a milkshake? And if you also have a milkshake, well, after that, why don't you have dessert? And then after that, maybe have a midnight snack. I don't know. It doesn't get that crazy. But, treat upon treat mentality. I think that's something that happens as soon as you become adult-ish, adult-esque. You go... I turned a fan off. You go, well, why can't I just do things, everything that feels good? Everything that feels the best. I've been held back from doing everything that feels the best by my family. And now I do my own, and now I can do it, and then you do it. And then if you do it for a long time, you get into the area of the fourth decade of your life, and things start to... You get forced into not doing it, basically, is what I'm starting to wrap my head around. And that's okay. Boy, 2025. Did not have that on my bingo card. Another thing you could say, instead of I didn't have that in my bingo card, is, oh, I didn't get a bingo. I don't have a bingo. Keep going, bingo caller. Everybody's playing bingo suddenly? Bingo card. Waste of paper. That's what I think bingo cards are, if you ask me. But really, one of the best moments in film, I do think, is when Christoph Waltz says, "That's a bingo!" in Inglourious Basterds. Think what you will of the film. I do like that moment. I got on Instagram Live the other day. Sat down on the couch, got comfy. A few people were watching. Shout out to them. You can find me at Nick Flanagan Weekly or Nick Flanagan. I've been trying to delete it on weekdays, reopen it on weekends. Doesn't always go that well. This week it didn't go that well. I had Instagram all week. And so I went live. And my old buddy, someone I always really admired in town when I was a wee lad, a young man in the town of Toronto, Hogtown to 6. Colin Geddes was in there, said hi, and then he decided to request to go live with me. So suddenly, I was talking to Colin Geddes on live. Colin Geddes, big part of cult film, you could call it, in Toronto within the last over 30 years. It's amazing. He did a series called Kung Fu Fridays, really helped get Toronto people on board with Asian cinema. Toronto people who didn't speak Cantonese with Hong Kong cinema. And he had a fanzine about it, and then he eventually wound up programming the Midnight Madness Festival at the Toronto International Film Fest. That's Colin Geddes for you. And this guy, but I remembered him when he was working concessions and programming at Golden Classics, which was a Chinese theater at the bottom of Spadina at Queen Street. That's right. I need to tell you something about Toronto. It's crossed the Rubicon. The Rubicon. It's crossed the Rubicon. It's a place to be. And finally, kind of by default in attrition, a lot of places are sliding in Western civilization, and so Toronto's looking pretty good, especially if you've got that local boy kind of protection going on. It's probably true of any city where you're from. Anyway, enough about that. Or should I keep talking about it? Colin gets on my Instagram Live, Colin Geddes, and we're talking, and I say, what should I talk about? Colin, what's a topic I should cover on the podcast? Well, guess what he says? Summer. What did I do this summer? Friends, I'm not sure what I did. Summer kind of always goes the same way. In June, I'm like, this is just the run-up. This is the run-up to summer. In July, I'm like, oh God, I can't really remember my July. I think June and July were mostly me just rehabilitating my foot in the orthotics. And in the shoes with the orthotics. And finding out, and getting less and less pain. That was a good feeling. I mean, I think I saw Wu-Tang at some point, which was cool. And and then I went to a couple like little cottagey kind of things, which was nice. I'm very pro water now, more than ever. I've been walking down to the lake, looking at water, Lake Ontario, around 4 p.m. I have a little route I've established that I like, and I walk through the Canadian National Exhibition grounds, which has like this architecture that's kind of like 1960s future mixed with like weird sort of semi-Masonic kind of architecture. It's really strange. And then clubs that I think maybe Drake owns. And then this nice wooden bridge, and then you're on the boardwalk. And I do that walk, and I look at some geese, and I look at some ducks, and I feel a little better. That very same thing happened to today of all days. Today of all days. How is today different than other days? Well, today, if you turn on your TV, you won't find Jimathan Kimbel. Jimmy Kimmel Live won't be on it. We're talking about the guy from The Man Show. He was a radio DJ. I think he's from Palm Springs or somewhere weird. Or at least maybe he had his radio show in Palm Springs. Where is Jimmy Kimmel from, Siri? Where Jimmy Kimmel? So, like, in case you were living under a rock, last week, I guess, it was last week, a gunman murdered Charlie Kirk. Jimmy Kimmel, who hails from New York City, but went to school in Las Vegas. It was probably what I was thinking about. Where did he do radio? He did radio in Arizona and Tampa and Palm Springs. He hosted his own show in Palm Springs. I was right, because I used to listen to a lot of the Howard Stern show. Kimmel was his buddy. He'd have him on. That's how I know about Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel, I appreciate it. Never thought, I didn't fully go on board in the 90s with like his humor at the time, but I liked Howard Stern. I liked these rowdy people. He was there. He seems like a decent enough bloke, doesn't he? Anyway, he said Charlie Kirk, he said that like the U.S. government, the Republicans were trying to make sure that the person who shot Charlie Kirk was not one of their own or something, that they were going to great lengths to make sure that this guy was not a Republican. And then apparently the FCC chair and distributors of the television program and people in charge of Disney who are doing some kind of merger. There's some kind of insane merger happening right now that's looming all over this, and I think it had to do with the Stephen Colbert cancellation as well. I'll need like a deep explanation of it to me at some point, But I find it so discouraging that I don't even really want to know. You know? All of the things people were warning about are occurring. And I'm ready to just accept it. Because what am I supposed to do? How do I stop a merger? You tell me. weeklypodcast@gmail.com. WEAKLY podcast@gmail.com. Email me thoughts, opinions, beliefs, suppositions, superstitions, quizzicals, and even gibberish, but nothing hostile and nothing that would make me feel weird. Which, I'll let you use your own judgment. I think I've made people feel weird. I've looked back. I've reached out to people before too. Cold called them. I've looked back at those messages. I said, what were you thinking? I remember I went up to a comedian once who I heard at a show called Invite Them Up or something. It was at Rafifi, a hip bar in New York. I went and I saw this comedian. I'll say his name. It was Todd Barry, who I consider a friend now. Todd Barry. Hi. Todd Barry. That's not much of an impression of Todd Barry, but it's the impression I just did. I met him. I cornered him at his Yuck Yuck show, which I enjoyed very much. And my friend had told me to go see him. And I say, hey, you have this show. Do you think I could ever do it? And he's like, man, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. He just met me. It was hard for me to make the perspective switch. See, from my perspective, I wanted to do something, and I was me, so why not let me do it? From his perspective, he's just met somebody, and they're asking him if he can perform on their show that's not even in the same city that he's in. Those are two very different perspectives, but I wish we had found a middle ground. Since then, I've gone on to perform with Todd Barry on many stages. He's a good guy. Jimathan Kimbel. So then he gets pressured because of this merger, because of the guy in charge of the FCC, because you're not supposed to say anything critical of if Charlie Kirk. Everybody's like, this was a great guy. What did you think of him? Did he seem normal? Did he seem like a normal guy to you? Did he seem like someone who was guy's 31. The older I get, the more I get in the mindset of don't put anyone younger than me in charge. But then, of course, you see what the people older than you did, and it's bad too. So maybe we just call the whole thing off. Anarchy. Start little factions. Every new thing is just more predictable and more stressful. But the thing is, if you carry a sort of stressed out and anxiety from a young age, what's the difference? I'll tell you what the difference. That's what everyone says. Oh, you're telling me I should be scared? Well, I've been scared all my life. Let me tell you something. Have you ever actually had the thing that you were anxious was going to happen? I've never, all my prior anxiety never prepared me for that. I was back at square one. Let's hope the things don't happen. Greta Thunberg. You're our only hope. going back to what I did over summer situation. August, I went to the beautiful Lake Joseph in Muskoka. Played with children. Went to a Mexicano restaurant in Bracebridge, Ontario. And let me tell you, these Bracebridgeans, these people over there in these towns a few hours from Toronto, the Latin immigration to Canada is starting to hit them there, and they can't get enough of it. There is like a stampede to go to this Mexican restaurant. The whitest people in the world. Drinking horchata. Eating pozole. Pozole. Is that how it's pronounced? Alright, do you live in a little place? Do you live in a little town? Can I come? I want to go on a retreat. Live in a tiny little town. You know, the kind of town where you know the mayor. Where you just wave at the mayor. Hey, mayor, you're my neighbor. Think we can get the city to pay for this fence? To keep your goats from coming on my property and eating all of my can collection. Then I started editing my album. Album started feeling really good. Saw some movies. Tried to figure out better diet, better lifestyle. Then it's September. That was August. Oh, and I was so hot. Unbelievably warm. Way too warm. That kind of wrecked half of the month for me, which I talked about in the last podcast. So if you really need to know, go one back. Oh, I'm still sweating so much. This is the most I've ever sweat in my life. Something's happening. Better be good and not bad. But too much sweat. I've got a shmata, like a cloth rag I bring with me at all times. You know? Really, years ago I took a picture of myself as Rodney Dangerfield. Well, someone took a photo of me as Rodney Dangerfield, and I feel like I created a situation where I was going to embody some of its aspects, and the humor, I don't know. The sweat, I'm right there with you, Rodney. Guy lived a pretty long life, apparently miserable, but he lived a long life. Longish. Life expectancy in Canada went up. It's like 80 or 81 for men. Probably 83 for women. I love it. So I ain't going anywhere else until that place has a better life expectancy. However, when you're older, I feel like you're one thing away from life becoming very uncomfortable. And younger, too, now that I'm finding out with this foot stuff. So yes, I'd like to live on a long time, but I would also like to be able to walk to the milk store as an old person. And if I can't do that, I better have some other fun things to do. Otherwise, why hang around? No, I love old people. I'm going to be one. I can't wait. 47 more years and I'll become officially old. And now September's here. We are September's children. September is the greatest month. Scary month when you're a kid. So scary. Go to school, right? There's new kids, new lessons. You might not know them well. You might not know the kids. New bullies. New events that you have to get ready for, school events, new photo sessions. It's too much. But once you get past those, yes, and are in the grown-up times, well, it's a whole other story. Because this is the month where the weather's the best. This is the month where the green is greener, the sun is sunnier, everything is just perfect weather-wise, and people mostly, if they know what's good for them, are making the most out of this beauty outside, and that's the month I live for. And there's festivals and joy in the light, and there's life. And that's how I'm trying to use my September right now. Does this mean I am leaving the house at an appropriate time of day? No. Does this mean I am leaving the house before sunset and getting a lot of sun on me still? Yes, it does. Dappling myself in the stuff. Well, you know? Swimming in sun. Putting on my sunscreen. I'm telling you, they don't give you an instruction manual when you're born. I think if they did, that would solve a lot of issues. I didn't see anything at the Toronto International Film Festival, but my gosh, I'm excited for the people who have things going on. Those Nirvana, the show, the band guys, they've got something cool, it seems like. Chandler Levac, a writer and filmmaker from Toronto, has a new movie with a bunch of celebs in it. I think that there's a bunch of other things too. That there was a movie about a Scottish guy with Tourette's. That sounds fun. The lineups. I was at the area where the Toronto Film Festival was happening, and there was like a block-long lineup for free samples of instant ramen. That doesn't sound very film festival to me. They should have. If we lived in a smarter world, there would be a lineup that long to meet Roger Ebert's wife. And you can quote me on that. And then you can tell everybody else. I've seen a few things at Toronto International Film Festival. Saw an excellent Bobcat Goldthwait film about 20 years ago. 15 years ago. Saw Trash Humpers. Also 15 or 16 years ago. There was a period of time, like age 29 and 35, where I was like vaguely able to do fancy literati type of things, like see TIFF movies. Now, I'm just at home and outside sweating, staring at CDs that I barely listened to, that I purchased with the idea to resell, that has now been ruined by heavy duties on imports and exports. I hate it. And all I'm watching is slop content. Internet slop. Drama. There's a backlash against your everyday comedian now. Like the annoying ones. You know? And the backlash is so pronounced that now there are like channels that are just like, watch Joe Rogan and this silly guy. Oh no, Bert Kreischer's crashing out. I have nothing against Bert Kreischer. It's just some shirtless dude. Still, it's amazing. really amazing how much lower the standard for fun things has become. I mean, can you even imagine if they had... I say that, and then it was like, well, in the 1960s, Charlie McCarthy was popular, and I'm not talking about the guy who hated communists, I'm talking about the wooden man. I'm talking about the ventriloquist dummy that belonged to Edgar Bergen. He'd go on, like, Ed Sullivan, and because he got his start in radio, he'd have a ventriloquist dummy, Charlie McCarthy. You know, but he was a radio ventriloquist, so he didn't really worry about his lips moving, so he'd be doing this ventriloquism, and his lips would be moving the whole time. So I guess what I'm trying to say is making a puppet talk while your lips are clearly moving, I think it's still well above most of what we have to offer nowadays. Well, and there's this other guy. Every class is struck by this new low standard. Everyone's a brand. And the intent is to get the listener, if they like them, they trust them. And if they don't trust them, but they like the show, that's actually an even less healthy dynamic. And that's what leads to, YouTube channels that are about why something sucks. But we trust these people. There's this guy, Ezra Klein. I know people who listen to his podcast. I don't trust this guy. Because he talks like in this kind of a way where the reason that we don't have any reason to... The reason for the season is that we have to reason with ourselves about the very stories that we tell about why the Democrats lost. Do those stories match up with reality? NPR speak, they call it. Don't trust it. It's just entertainment, folks. That's fine, but don't trust it as a news source. What did this guy do? Immediately got into the we must defend free speech. Once Charlie Kirk got killed, it's all about, we can't, don't let this stop free speech. That's the way that was the safe eulogy for Charlie Kirk, free speech. Yeah, free speech is good. But everybody knows that this event will be used to wreck free speech. And you saying Charlie Shirk was like a person who represented free speech is not going to stop the people in charge doing the smush on the free speech. All right, that's it. Okay. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. I'm gonna go. It's 12:30 a.m. on the dot. Have the best time of your life doing whatever you like best. Nick Flanagan, we